Spring is a time of rebirth, a time to quench my thirst to live wild, explore whitewater rivers, quest for wild trout, camp in my favorite haunts with my family, and a time to plant seeds with the hope of nurturing future crop yields. A long winter and shoulder season left me thirsty for adventure on open water. When the rivers and lakes broke up around me and life returned to the land, I headed deep into the bush with canoe and paddle in order to live close to nature. We are at the beginning of the Portage Trail into this backcountry lake. So we towed the canoe out here, and now we're going to portage in and leave our boat tied up and go camping for 2 or 3 nights. 3 nights, honey?
3 nights.
And go camping for 3 nights, so we're super excited. Well, we have a new wagon for Wesley, and it's a little bigger. Now we could fold it and pack it all away, but we don't have horrifically far to paddle, so we've decided just to leave it over the side. That way we can just pick them up, put them on the ground, and wheel them up to the campsite. So a little unorthodox, but we're sort of rolling with the punches here. Hey Wes, good job, bud!
I gotcha!
Good job.
You're in the boat!
Good job. All in here, all these white pines are burnt. The forest fire came through here. This is the campsite right here.
Wow, what a spot. Can you jump in the water here?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so you can run and jump right off here. We're at the campsite, Huddy. This is our campsite. Boop, boop, boop.
A little bit of breathing space. We gotta wipe your face, huh? What a fun little adventure that was.
Very fun little adventure.
Cheers.
Cheers. Maybe, but like, this is beautiful, eh?
Yeah.
Here's spring keepers. Beautiful sight, eh?
So nice. Incredible.
Beautiful, beautiful spot here, and hopefully we get into a couple speckled trout here in a little bit. But first things first, we got to set up the tent. We're just basically trying to fight against darkness settling in here. But we think that, you know, we're going to really enjoy ourselves here. Nice spot. Definitely the kids are going to have their life jackets on all the time because we're close to the water and that. But you can already tell they're having fun, and I'm looking forward to getting some food. We're pretty hungry, getting a nice fire going, so I'm just going to go cut some wood. Wesley's pumped.
Push. Can you sit with me? Okay.
Apple. No, no, eat. How do you eat?
Okay, it's a lot of good. Ready?
right there. Going down to about 5 degrees Celsius. So not terribly cold, but we have our warm winter sleeping bags. Well, I can see Tori's up. You get up super early, about 7, and there's a nice mist out on the lake. I saw a big fish. This lake was a natural speck lake, cold, deep water lake that my grandfather fished and caught like massive fish out of here in the late 60s, early 70s. Somebody threw largemouth bass in it, which has just pretty much ruined any remaining trout fishery. And it's not even really a cold water lake like this. It's not swampy, it's deep, it's cold. Isn't really a good place for largemouth bass to live either. But then the ministry stocked it back to what it originally had in it, which was speckled trout. And you know, I hear they put in larger size ones, and that way they're not so worried about the bass predation. But this morning at camp I saw probably like a 2-pound bass, and I know since it's been stocked it gets hit pretty hard in the winter. Some of these stocked lakes, I don't know, I found like the fish kind of can be hard to find. They're almost easier to target through the ice. And then yeah, when you come in the spring after ice out and fish for them, there's not a lot. I've noticed that a couple times. I once caught splake in here in the summer on a slip bob. Wait, I never caught it. I waited there patiently for like 3 hours and then had it right up to the boat and didn't have a net and lost it. Well, we have had a relaxing morning here. Tori cooked up a feast. It was awesome. I did some fishing, no luck. And we think we are going to go for a hike today. We got a beautiful day, unseasonably warm outside. And the bugs aren't out yet. It's still too early in the season. So we're going to take advantage of that and hike up to a beautiful vantage point, and then we'll probably come back here and I'll do some more fishing this evening, and hopefully we can get a couple trout for dinner. We'll see. This is a squirrel minin. Here you can see all those pieces of pine cone. For many, many years, squirrels eat cones in this location. They break apart cones like this to eat the fruit, which is like a nut.
Cool.
A cabin up here. It's fun. High five, Hetty. High five. Psh. Well, it appears that we were greeted by a few black flies when we got up here.
As soon as it's nice, we're out here, and I'm like, oh yeah.
The bugs.
The bugs.
Can't win.
I forget every year. Every year I'm like, oh, it's nice, let's get out. And then I'm like, oh yeah, the bugs
I'm
are
being eaten alive.
But if it weren't for bugs, there'd be way more people out here.
Right? Anyways, just gonna put some muskol family and kids. Yeah, they're not really biting yet, but I'm just gonna spray this on my hands and then just get up around Huddy's hairline there. So one on his face. Here you go, bud. Here you go. It's a place that I've been to since I was Huddy and Wesley's age, and many times since then. So it's really nice to share this spot with my kids and pass on that tradition. But it's kind of feeling like we can't chill out here too much because of all the steep rocks and that. So we are going to pack the kids up and make our way to another spot, a beautiful spot, a different campsite than where we're camped. There's more space, and make a fire and get some hot dogs going and grab a bite to eat. So on to the next adventure. We got to this campsite and the kids both conked out, exhausted, fast asleep. So Tori and I are, not gonna lie, enjoying these few childless moments. Whoa,
Spider
looks like
dog.
a wild squid.
It looks like a crab.
What a day, that was awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, Huddy, you're not getting it lighter, that's for sure. I saw a bunch in the shallows at the end of the lake, so I might try there or just along this shore.
Mama, hi. Hi.
Everything I ever said bad about this thing, I take back. This is a whole other level of chill. Today was fun. It was an adventure. I went fishing this morning, no luck. In fact, I'm starting to question the validity of this being a viable trout lake. But either way, we're really enjoying ourselves, and having perfect weather doesn't hurt. Absolutely gorgeous day. So yeah, can't complain about anything. Loving out here.
Wait.
Got it.
I see frog. What does the frog say? Ribbit?
Ribbit. Ribbit. Say hi. Ribbit. Ribbit.
No. No, no.
Wanna go show Wes?
Bye. Dada.
A frog, Leslie. Look, a frog. What's that? I'll leave it. We're gonna have to get out of here. All in all, great trip. If the fish were just like biting like crazy, I would say let's just like leave at 6 a.m. tomorrow, but unfortunately we were super stoked to get into some speckled trout here, but it's been a little slow. I haven't even seen one, just seen bass, so that's kind of a bummer. Maybe the lake got stocked and got hit hard, or maybe I'm just blowing it and don't know what I'm doing. It's a possibility, I don't know.
Good job.
Nailed it, honey.
I'm just gonna put Huddy here because he's.
There you go, Huddy, in the boat.
Woo!
And we're off. Well, here I am near Whitney, Ontario, and I am going to run the upper Madawaska River. This is my second try after I picked up my new canoe from Novacraft, which is a solo whitewater boat, and we're running at about 125 CMS, so that's high water. So the river is flowing. It's a spring run. The water's warmed up a bit since then too, and we got a sunny day as opposed to cold and rain. So I'm super excited to get out on the water and try this Supernova. It's a very responsive boat. It feels quite tippy just to paddle, especially if you're sitting, but once you get into the rapids and you're kneeling, that tippiness just turns into incredible whitewater maneuverability. I got a spray deck for it too by Northwater. So I put these inflatable airbags at the bow and stern of my canoe, and they're held in by this webbing and a strap, and that means that when I'm paddling the rapids, when my canoe fills up with water after going through some huge waves, well, it won't be sitting so low in the water because these airbags will help it float and still be controllable. And even more importantly, if I dump, these will help the canoe float higher in the water, which means it's a lot less likely to get wrapped around a boulder. Officially about to jump into it. Feeling a little nervous. This is definitely advanced level whitewater river, probably a class 3 plus, class 4 river, some class 5s on it that I'll need to portage. And I'm out here by myself. It's high water, the water's cold, it's spring, so definitely you know, feeling what probably is a good amount of fear, which will hopefully make me act wiser out there and not run anything I shouldn't. So we are on our way. I got a guidebook for this river here. Looks like I have a couple challenging rapids that might not even be runnable. My guidebook is calling this first rapid a class 5. So the guidebook is saying this is like a class 4 in high water, class 3 in medium water. Guidebooks are always a little careful, so I'd call this a class 3, maybe a 3 plus because it's technical. But that's good. That's going to give me a pretty good grasp on what the river is going to look like compared to what the guidebook says, and just help me grade things. Pretty easy portage. A lot of the portages jump up to an old railway bed that runs along a good section of the upper Madawaska. So once you get to the old railway bed, it's pretty smooth sailing. This boat, just that little rapid there, just can get so much control so quickly with this boat. I probably could have just driven to there and put in there. Coming up, I have a long set of class 2s, followed by a class 1, and then a rapid called Long Rapid. and it is aptly named. It just goes on and on and on, and it's a solid class 3. That was a maybe almost 3K flat water paddle, and now we're getting into some whitewater. Well, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to portage this, just cause you know what? I don't have a lot of practice yet this year, and it's a new canoe, and this rapid is raging. I mean, I've run it before, but yeah, I just don't feel comfortable doing it, especially out here alone. And just, you know, there's one big wave, but that there's too many areas where I think I would just swamp. I don't think I would make it because there's not enough room in here to avoid some of the big waves and the big curling waves. And you know, you got to hit some of those, and by the time I get to the end, I just don't know, even with back paddling, just because of high water, those waves are kind of curling back on themselves. There's some souse holes in here, so it just looks like it might be a little, you know, maybe on my second, third trip of the year I'd run it, but bummer, it's getting late too. So I gotta move here. But this rapid was like pretty much the whole reason I was excited to come out and run this river. So it's kind of a bummer, but I scouted it for as much time as I possibly could, and I just feel like it's probably just a little too much for me out here today. Somehow I've screwed up, and I still have like 13K to go, and it's gonna be dark in 3 hours. So obviously having to portage these last 2 rapids has cut into my time, and I just started too late, but I'm still gonna go for it. Time through this stretch. That's pretty nice. Beautiful, beautiful evening. A little anxiety, but no point in worrying too much about that because it ain't gonna help me. Looks like we have another fun class 2 up here. These are called Russell Rapids. So Russell Rapids is a stretch of 5 rapids in high water, all class 2. So this is probably the last stretch. Looks challenging though. We got some tight turns in here. Oh yeah, this is quite the class 2. Looks like we got some fun stuff coming up here. Woo! Yeah! Herman Chute is coming up. That's a class 5 waterfall. There we go. I could have pulled out way closer to the waterfall, but because I don't know the river, there's no sign takeouts. It's probably just faster to pull over at the first safe spot I could find, grab my stuff and start portaging rather than scouting, then doubling back. I've decided that if it gets too dark to paddle, I'm going to try to leave my stuff in the bush on this railway trestle and hike out back to my truck, drive around and pick it up, drive on this trestle with my truck and pick my stuff up. But yeah, it could be like solid 10K hike in the dark. Things are getting a little interesting. Okay. Whew. Well, again, the water's up into the trees. This is a raging class 3. I gotta scout this. Man. Blind corner. I can't get over, so I'm gonna have to bushwhack and pull out way above the rapid again here. I feel like every time I'm about to make it somewhere, something comes up. I'm just too afraid to go around that blind corner. Okay, solid class 3 coming up. I'd like to have been able to scout maybe the bottom a little more. I think we'll be good to go. There's a tongue at the top, and if you hit that wrong, you will for sure dump. Not too pretty, but I got the job done. And the river is just cooking along here. Lots of current, back to back class 1 and 2 rapids with good current in between. And this is making me feel good. I'm still gonna have I think 2 more mandatory portages, and maybe more though. But this is giving me hope. Yeah, it's perfect. Not a lot of time left before dark. Look at that sun, it's going down. Still, I'm just approaching what's called Devil Cellar Rapids. I don't have the notes for it in my book. It looks like I'm missing a page. But sorry, Devil's Elbow. It's a class 4. The top of it's a class 2, and then you come down and then it's a short raging class 4. And right now, there's really no way to portage up to the trail. And so it looks like I'm gonna have to run the class 2 and try to eddy out right before the raging rapid. I don't see anywhere to take out here. This is sketchy. Probably shouldn't be doing this. Devil's Elbow. Yeah, that's what I just avoided there. Water's definitely gotten higher with a few more tributaries entering the river though. I might be able to make it. It's almost dark though. Oh man, this is gonna be tricky here. What the hell is this? That was a mistake. Woo! That is what I just portaged. As you can see, the sun is down. It's going to be dark any second. The sun is down. When I came up to that ledge, fortunately I got over on time, jumped out, and then I just portaged that ledge, the Swift, and put it at the base of this, which is called Little Niagara. Well, as you can see, it is almost dark, and I have a ways left to go, including a couple more rapids, which is concerning. I had my vehicle shuttled earlier today by Opiongo Outfitters. I drove with the guy there at Opiongo Outfitters, dropped my truck off at the end and left it there so it'll be there when I come to pick it up. So at least I know my truck's there and I know it's the only other bridge. So the worst comes to worst if I paddle in the dark, but I still get there. Oh, this rapid potentially is intense up here. Let's see if we can do it. Oh man, what a fun trip. First I was worried that the water was going to be too high. I wasn't going to be able to enjoy too many of the rapids, but then sure enough, a lot of the easier rapids that would have been typically easy were a lot of fun with some really big waves. And there it is, the bridge. My truck is just over there. It's safe to say I did it. Anyway, prospector. Yeah, that's what, a 615. And we are off. Just access this Bull Lake via Bull Lake Outfitters. Go a good little distance. Probably just gonna blast through this lake and get into what is a natural trout lake, 3 portages deep into the backcountry. Going into a steady headwind, beautiful day. Bugs are out, but the wind's keeping them down, and we are in search of spring trout. Might get into some specks, which is brook trout, speckled trout, but mostly in these waters there's going to be lake. So we're heading into a natural lake trout lake. There's supposed to be some big ones in there. Ice just went out here. We're in northern Ontario, up north of Massey, and super excited for a spring trout fishing trip. We're coming to what it might be our first portage. I'm not really sure. The map shows they're like marked almost like a waterfall, and it looks like there might be a drop, so I'm not really sure. We're just using standard 1 to 50 Canadian topographic maps. Okay. You see a bunch of suckers in here, Sean?
Right here.
There's a beaver dam now. You can see the beaver dam there, and you know, there's probably been dams there throughout history, beaver dams, but you can tell from these logs that it was a logging dam and a slide, or I don't know if you call that a full sluice, but definitely a log slide. You can see where these logs are, and they push the logs when the water was higher through here and float them down through other small streams and eventually to a larger river, and then likely, very likely to Georgian Bay, where they could put them in a big boom with a tugboat and take them to a distant rail line or something like that. Instead of portaging, we two-man carried. So kind of regret it because it's hard, but faster. Come on, in the boat. Good boy. So just going through a narrows here, and it's almost acting like a bit of a wind tunnel. So I'm really glad I brought this double-bladed paddle, because it's really gusting. What? Oh yeah? Strong wind is blowing my canoe all over the place. The creek is just too shallow to drag through. My guess is that it's probably going to mean the fishing's better once you get back here, because outside of the winter with the snowmobile, it'd be pretty hard to get in here. Oh, shit! well past my knee in this mud. I don't know how I'm going to get my shoe on. I am stuck deep in mud, probably the deepest I've ever been stuck here before. And look at how deep into the muck I am here, up to here. Help! I'm literally stuck. Oh my God. I did it! I did it! Nobody even saw. Man, I'm not going to tell them until they watch my video, and then they'll all get a good laugh. Oh, holy. Wow, that was crazy. Make sure you don't try to cross over that, that creek swamp. Just go around to the right. Challenging. Another beaver dam are out, so we're kind of paddling upriver and swampy, shallow stuff, so way harder than we expected. Sean's already apologized. He promised it wasn't going to be like this.
Well, this is nothing to me, that's the thing, right? So I didn't really think anything of it. Forgot who was coming.
Right. Good answer, good answer. But it happens sometimes, you know, you look at the maps, definitely don't represent this. The maps represent the beaver swamp. You could tell that was an old dam. So anyways, yeah, so and who knows, maybe it would have, maybe we could have paddled up this if that dam was still in.
Actually, probably.
You know?
Because if you saw that height of the dam, it was like that, right?
You know how good it feels to be able to blame someone else for the trip? For once? I'm using a Williams whitefish here, 25-pound test fluoro, and about a 1 ounce keel sinker. We're not expecting the lake trout to be too deep at this time of year. word for hickory translates to good bow wood.
Oh.
Yeah, I know why it's good to learn indigenous language, because you don't have to learn the name and then what it does is both at the same time. We just
Right. We looked at when we were getting her. It was really almost. And that was, we had these directions on them.
But we're just having a really good time, just chilling by the fire. We're gonna throw some more logs on and turn in. We did try a little bit of fishing, but you know, we got 2 more days to fish, and we just kind of trolled here with the winds. It was very challenging. So yeah, hopefully you're gonna see us eating trout for tomorrow. But yeah, I'm hoping I'm eating trout tomorrow and not the past. I'm gonna be honest with you, it wasn't very good. Anyway, so Nate's gonna break out some and we're gonna get f***ed up and, you know, call it a night around 5 a.m.
I don't know however many is.
Still solid. I noticed that. I'm going to troll out that way and see what we can do, and if we have any luck, maybe we have a little shore lunch. Leisurely pace this morning. It was nice, quite nice, with some breakfast and some coffees, and went on a rant about a bunch of the problems in the world. I think we pretty much solved all of them, and now we're gonna move out there and hopefully catch some fish, and we'll be camping back at this site tonight. We discussed whether we'd change campsites, but we're pretty happy with this spot. There's not a ton of good places to camp. Very pretty lake, but sloping shorelines and rocky, and so we think we found a pretty nice spot here, so we're gonna stay put. And yeah, I'm basically more or less gonna climb into the canoe and hopefully get some lake trout. Is it big? I mean, I'm sure there's like 20 pounders in here, but as far as eating goes and good size goes, that is a beauty. Yeah. What'd you catch it on?
A little Clio copper and red.
Sweet.
Sean has got a fish on.
Yeah. Did he get you? Okay, I have just hooked into a fish. There he is. Good, probably about 2 pounds. Well, I switched my lures to a white tube jig. And these guys went ahead of me, and then when I was landing that fish, I got blown into a deep bay, so I have to fight back against the wind. But yeah, this is a natural lake trout lake. That species probably has things that are specific to it that you wouldn't find exactly the same in any other lake, because they've been here for probably about 8,000 years. They've been in this lake, and you know, lakes around here, but they're probably somewhat on a smaller scale unique to this lake, because they've been here since the glaciers retreated, you know, about 8,000 years ago. So that's pretty cool. And so many of these front country or even backcountry trout lakes near where train tracks go or roads and that, they've been stocked with bass, and that can really especially hurt the speckled trout fishery. So it's interesting to fish a lake that doesn't have bass, that only has trout in it, and that's the way a lot of these kind of cold water lakes were at one time, and unfortunately they've become less good for, almost destroyed the speckled trout fishery, but also you know, the lake trout aren't as affected by bass introduction, but it's not good for them either. So we pulled over here for shore lunch after having some luck with the fishing, and in doing so discovered a great place to camp. The wind picked up some, but we're all kind of thinking that maybe we just move our campsite to here, because we've had good luck with lake trout. I caught mine right out there, Nate caught his out there, Sean one in here, etc. And it's just a beautiful open spot, and we do have time. We have another night on this lake, so we might move, but first we are going to enjoy a delicious
delicious shore lunch of lake trout, get filled up. I'm feeling pretty hungry because whatever way you look at it, we got some headwinds to paddle back into to get back to camp, so I need to fuel up. We're gonna have to cut it. Delicious.
That was so weird. Beginner's luck is just because they're actually like not,
First fish of the trip.
it's really well cooked.
Perfect. Absolutely delicious.
Came from the States and
I know. Epic shore lunch, but we realized if we want to get back to our campsite and come back and camp here, we have to leave now. And part of the thing is that there's a blasting headwind, the winds have increased, and there's whitecaps breaking just out in front of where I'm standing now, which is where we had the shore lunch. So we have to just go beast mode, try to stay close to shore. If any one of us feels uncomfortable, we're just going to turn back. But the problem is right now we're separated from our gear. Really hard. That's all I gotta say about that. Well, it looks like we've made it through. Oh, that was exhausting. Now we go back that way with our gear, but we'll be going with the wind. Nice. I guess, right?
Like discovery again. It's all the convincing I need.
Well, the winds died down some, and we decided to explore the lake a bit more, do some more fishing, and we came over to a gathering of islands. And Sean and Ted and Nate jumped out and kind of scouted what looks to be like a pretty decent campsite. So we might actually just jump on this site instead of paddling back to the point where we had the shore lunch, which is kind of cool. I don't know if the fishing will be as good directly off the site, but we will be closer to the way out of here in case we get a heavy wind on our last day that could keep us pinned down. So that's one good thing, and it looks like a really nice site too. Well, it is dinner time. Everybody's cooking up their delicious food. Sean had some pork chops. He had some baked potato. Ted's cooking up a lake trout. Nate's got some fancy dehydrated meal. And I'm cooking a can of habitant pea soup. This is a Canadian tradition, head office in Montreal.
Thanks. That's a little better. I was wondering how they got it. Usually you'd have to be in line for like 50 minutes.
Like, remember the ducks?
The bed all dirty without a
I'm like, those are ducks, and you guys are like, those aren't ducks, you idiot. And then Nate was like, yeah, they're ducks, you know? Good morning, ladies and germs.
Yeah.
Today on the agenda, Ted brought up moving campsites again, so quick punch to the dick, and that ended that idea. And again, I think we're just gonna, try to catch some lake trout. Hopefully we get into something a little bigger, but with this cold front, you can see my breath. My hands are cold. I got the toque on, and the previous day it was quite warm on the day that we bushwhacked, or sorry, the day that we got into this lake when we were portaging and everything, it was quite warm, so that temperature fluctuation can sometimes mess with the fish, but lake trout don't seem to be as affected by it as some other species. I just made that up just for my own positive mindset.
First 5 minutes of the day fishing. It's a nice little shore lunch trout.
Oh,
Yeah!
that is a tank.
Dude!
Woo! There he goes.
Yeah!
My biggest trout ever.
Yeah.
Which isn't saying much, but hey, man.
Ted's already hooked into one, and Nate just hooked into the biggest fish of the trip yet. It looks like a beauty. Still good eater, so yeah, maybe the cold front isn't hurting us so much. Sean found this old double-bitted axe head. Pretty cool. Where was it, Sean?
Buried in the sand, just barely showing a little bit of rust up on top. Right at the end, and there's all kinds of logs and bark chips and stuff there.
But there might be a sucker run, which is a kind of cool sight to see, and potentially could be whitefish that sometimes come into the streams because they'll sometimes eat the sucker eggs in the spring. Big old beaver dam. That about ends this little side mission.
Turtle.
Oh, tortuga!
Oh yeah.
Poking up? Oh!
Did he bite you?
No, he's not happy.
Just paddling along, and looks like the morning bite is over, so we're sort of picking our way fishing to get to a shore lunch spot. And we came up on a bald eagle. It was acting a little territorial. Well, sure enough, its nest is right in this white pine tree here, which is pretty cool.
Good job, buddy. That just looks amazing. I want to just put that in the sun and let it dry.
So that's a butterfly right there.
Wow.
This is the one that I butterflied. Nate's one. It's a good size. No bones in it at all.
Like,
Get to the lake trout from shore, baby. Well, there we go. This one just from shore with a large Williams whitefish. What more can you ask for? Just hammering beauty Lakers from shore. Amazing, perfect day. A little late to get on the board today, but I'm pretty happy with that. It's a fish. Got one! Feels like a good size anyways. Bam! And then well, I guess that is about it for the day. Awesome day. A lot of fish caught. I think Ted got 4 today, 2 big ones. Nate had one. Oh geez, Nate had 3 beauties. Me and Sean had, I had 2. Sean had 1 or 2 at least. So anyways, yeah, it did well. Definitely some weather fluctuations unseasonably hot when we came in and then unseasonably cold, but it leveled off this afternoon, and dealing with that headwind yesterday didn't make fishing or anything easier. But after the weather kind of stabilized a bit and we got more towards the evening, the bite picked up, and yeah, we all just started catching fish. Lake trout aren't easy to catch. If you're catching lake trout, you're, you know, like, don't get me wrong, I love catching bass, pike, it's really fun, but anybody can pick up a rod for the most part and catch a bass. But if you're in here catching lake trout, usually they're a little more challenging. You got to work harder for them. They're a little bit more elusive, and it's definitely something to brag a little bit more about. So that's pretty cool. Ted and I, when we were kids, the lake we grew up on had lake trout. We didn't even figure out how to catch them until we were probably teenagers. We didn't have the patience and the know-how and that kind of stuff. So we would have been proud of ourselves, of our childhood selves would be quite proud of what we've managed to accomplish here. And lake completely to ourselves as well. Gorgeous campsite, gorgeous shoreline spots, rugged shores, myriad of islands. Loving it. So I'm gonna go up and get into some of Nate's emergency wine, get a fire going, and fry up some fish for dinner, and I don't know what else is on the menu tonight. Awesome day. Oh man, this is good.
Here's that book I've been reading.
Well, this is our last day here. Beautiful morning. Mist rising up off of the lake. The calls of sandhill cranes were heard as several flew overhead, and pretty slow pace this morning. We have to leave today. It's our last day here. So we're going back out the same way that we came in. But anyways, yeah, it's about time to you know, start moving, packing up, and heading off on our way. But so far it's been an amazing trip. I guess everything could technically go to pretty soon though, so. Oh yeah, feels pretty good. Yeah. Woo. There we go. Basically right now I'm standing in an old logging slough. They would have dammed the lake to get the water level higher, and then the spring released water from the dam and used that extra flow to drive logs down here. See the moose skull on your left, Sean? There it is. Bull Lake Outfitters. That's where we started our trip from, where we parked our vehicles. Another great trip in the books. North, in the boat. Come on. In the boat, come on. Okay. Go to the front. Go to the front. What the hell, North? We are off. We got me, my brother Ted, and the Budnick brothers, Max and Xander. We just put in here to paddle the lower Magnetawan River. We've already done the shuttles, leaving vehicles at the takeout, which is on Bing Inlet on Georgian Bay, near the mouth of the river. We have a 3-night, 4-day trip. It's probably about 12:31 in the afternoon, so we don't expect to make it super far today. It is spring. This is the Monday of the May 2-4 long weekend right now. So the first order of business is paddling Wawashkesh Lake. Looking forward to just the whole experience. Bass is closed. Not so many pickerel in this river, but we usually manage to catch a couple, so it'll be a bit of a challenge to get into some pike or pickerel. See if we can't do that. Super excited. Another trip kicking off. Oh yeah, good side.
Nice.
Look at that. There's a cool little waterfall coming in here, eh? Okay. Dam ahead, keep away. Who knows, but I might run this dam. I've run it before, tandem and solo. But it's pretty dangerous and the water level has to be right, and even then, even if it is, I might not do it because I'm scared. Well, I've decided that I'm going to run the dam, in part because I don't want to portage, but it looks probably about the most ideal water level I've seen it at for running it. You never know though, I might dump, but just putting my dry suit on, I think I'm gonna make it. I see a nice V in the tongue and the water's pushing through. A lot of the time what's dangerous about dams is the water's like a keeper, it's coming back on itself and you can get stuck in that, but I'm not seeing that here, so. That was an exciting way to start out the Whitewater. Caught a nice pike first off, then ran the dam. Woo! And honestly, it was easier than I thought. So now these guys are like, oh, should we do it? I don't know. But I think we might be hitting this river at great levels. So the idea here, guys, is to not get swept down the rapid. Looks like, Ted, you could get out here, and it looks like I can beach up on some rocks right here. Getting to camp. North just me. North just kicked me out from where I was trying to pull up. Beautiful spot here. Nice area down here for fishing, but I think the water's a little high here.
Jim has made me some pancakes. Like the kind brother he is.
Homemade maple syrup.
Xander's dead.
Xander is still sleeping.
He said he only slept for like 2 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
We're gonna walk up there, check out the canyon because it's beautiful. I am terrified to the point of dizziness because I've decided that I'm going to run the canyon. It's probably a 300 meter long class 3 plus with the challenging part at the top. I'm going to put my skills to the test and run my 15-foot prospector down this canyon fully loaded. So wish me luck. That was f***ing awesome! Xander went sideways into the hole at the top, but he gave it a shot and he did a good recovery. He almost got pinned on that boulder, but he managed to just scooch his canoe over a bit, and looks like he's nice and safe, and he's wound up in that big eddy. So I was a little concerned for him when he was coming for that boulder, and I saw the canoe was about to hit it, but it seems he did all right avoiding it in the end. So
Neither of us got you. Ah, yes.
Woo! Good job.
Yeah!
Challenging and time-consuming part of the river. Good to put it behind us, but super fun to do it. So that's pretty cool. After this, it's going to be a little calmer for a bit. We have another rapid downriver, and we have a lake to cross too. Nice! Looks like that canyon didn't work out for somebody so well.
Perfect, we got some hardware. The river gods take, the river gods provide.
Yes, recycling. Recycle, reduce, reuse, and close the loop.
Okay, come on. Mountain Chute. Just going to scout Mountain Chutes. Pretty late in the day. That was pretty arduous flat water paddling with the heat and the headwind. Actually, you're solid like 7 or 8K.
I'm probably gonna run it.
I think I'm sitting this one out.
As long as you don't get trapped like in there, then you'll be okay.
If you tip this way, that's really gonna suck. So
Like what? See how this is kind of sucking back into there. It looks pretty sketchy, but I think I'm gonna go for it. I think I can make it through. You never know. So fingers crossed, because there is a really dangerous kind of spot where you could get kind of sucked back into a hole. But I feel like if I was going to dump, I'd be well enough past that the current would push me out. So I think I'm going to go for it. Successful run, and these guys were thinking of portaging, but then they saw me run it and they're all deciding they're going to go for it now. So definitely you know, Xander's confidence a little lower after the dump. I think they should be okay as long as they hit the tongue properly at the beginning. If you go too far left, your hoop too far right, you might run into problems. So I'm just standing here in case they go into that hole right there. That would be quite problematic. So I'm going to stand here with a throw bag and hit them with a throw bag if they get sucked in there and pull them out. There you go. We all did it. Xander was unsure at the beginning. He ended up running it, absolutely nailing a great run. Can't expect to hit it much better than that. But it's late in the day. Some haze in the sky that's come this way all the way from Alberta and the forest fires there, I think. But yeah, late in the day, warm evening. Black flies are hanging out with us here. So we're just gonna basically bail and get on our way, take the first campsite we can see. But awesome time here at Mountain Chute. Successful runs by everybody, so morale is pretty high.
They all just look so scared. Basically how I did. You told them we ran it, right?
yeah. Forget it. It just felt a little bit off.
That does look rather bland.
Day 3 of our trip exploring the Magnetawan River saw our group of 4 portaging a beautiful waterfall early on. Ahead of us on this day lay several challenging whitewater rapids and some tough portaging to deal with before finding a place to camp.
It's fighting like a pick. Oh, it's a dink pike. Definitely a lot smaller than what I typically keep, but you know, enough for one person and a little bit of an hors d'oeuvre for everyone else. But hopefully we can get into something else. But all I have for dinner tonight is a small can of soup. Xander and Max, first time ever doing a lining quite like that. So they portaged their gear, lined the canoes. Me and Ted ran loaded. This is 3 sny, and the last one, the bigger one, is 5 Finger Falls. These were probably named by loggers when they drove logs down the Magnetawan River to Georgian Bay.
Good boy. Good boy. Come on, North. Good boy. Good boy.
And there it is, Train Trestle Rapid.
That amps the stakes up for the rest of us 3. Woo!
Well, as you can see, I didn't make that one. Just chose a line that was kind of stupid and bombed sideways into a hole. Not even close, so hopefully these guys can learn from my mistakes.
I'm glad I didn't want to do Jim's line. I'm going to do the inside line. Yeah.
There's a tight little V upriver I gotta hit, and then monster standing waves.
This is the embarrassingly small pike I caught earlier. After I take off the back strap, I just cut down on the outside of the ribs here. I think the cold fronts really what did us in on the fishing here. This you cut in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. North's guarding the pike. Why, thank you, North. I'm sure you have the best intentions in mind. Ted's got the tent set up. Fine young broth of a lad. Wouldn't mind a coffee.
Two-step process. Open the tuna can, put it on the pita bread,
I'm gonna make some coffee too, eh? Minimal bones too. Right? Could deal with a little more of that, eh? Good job.
Six a.m. wake up, and there is about 15 clicks left of Portage, and at least 2 other solid rapids that need to be scouted, but I believe are going to be fun runnable rapids. I don't know if I'll get a ton of time to fish, but I'm thinking maybe if I get a chance to wet a line today, I'll do it if it's not going to suck into too much time, and maybe bring a fish fry home for Tori, which always sort of softens the blow when I'm like, yeah, can you just take care of the 2 kids for 4 days while I go out there and, you know, fish and high five, you know, a bunch of buddies. So that always helps if I come home with fresh fish for dinner. That feels pretty big. Boom. Yeah, baby. Yeah, there's a lot of meat on that. I'm gonna keep it. I love that there's a smashed-in boat over there. That's fun. I think probably like it's bony up there, but if you're just to run far left,
the tongue, and then just kind of trying to make your way to the right.
Coming up to one of the last rapids, gonna try to take a sneak route down the left because the main flow is pretty much unrunnable, but there's gonna be some boulders we gotta dodge here. There it is, the highway bridge.
We made it! Still a little bit to go.
With another adventure down the Magnetawan River over, I'm reminded of how lucky I am to live on this river and have this lasting wild place that has somehow escaped road development right in my backyard.
Back in civilization.
With this one in the books, I've just come off of back-to-back-to-back multi-day adventures. At this point, I haven't seen Tori and the kids much in the last several days. And with the season pushing on, we've left a ton of work to do around our house to the last minute. Primarily, planting our vegetable gardens, as at our latitudes, if it's left too late, there won't be enough time to grow any food. We have to make fertile soil, build 2 large raised beds, till the land, weed, and plant 2 Three Sisters gardens of corn, beans, and squash, among many other things. I'm coming home from my trips with some fresh fish for the freezer to add to our remaining moose meat. But this year, we're really hoping to be able to grow and preserve a good amount more food. With some awesome spring adventures behind us, it's time to roll up our sleeves and get some work done before heading off on the next round of trips. I bought nearly 2 yards of topsoil from a local farmer. It's essentially cow manure that's been aged about 6 years. It cost me $50, which is a heck of a lot cheaper than buying it per bags from the store.
But you can pull out the rest of that because I can't seem to get my shovel underneath it.
After laying in a 4x8 raised bed made of 2x12s, we rip out all the weeds along the floor. Then I begin throwing in logs, sticks, bark, and whatever other organic material I can find. This would serve as fertilizer as it slowly rots over the years to come. Next, we'd fill it with topsoil.
And we have a bunch of pumpkins coming up from last year. But the pumpkins, this was a Three Sisters garden. And the pumpkins, to be honest with you, they were a little too aggressive of a squash. So I wouldn't do them again in a Three Sisters garden. So we're probably going to dig those up and replant them somewhere else.
We planted apple trees last year, and I was super excited to see some blossoms on them this spring. Next, I had to take load after load of topsoil up the steep hill from the trailer to fill our new raised bed and to top up the one from last year. This took many, many trips. While I was doing that, Tori had another project on the go. She was getting the vegetable garden on our front porch ready. The spot gets a lot of sun. She even put in a hummingbird feeder, which just looks awesome.
What are you doing?
When watering the plants, water does pass through the grow bags. So Tori props up the grow bags on these slats that are lifted off the ground on screws that we screwed into the slats part way. This prevents the porch from rotting under the pot due to moisture.
I'm going to give this a big soak before planting. This is what corn looks like. It's just basically a kernel. I have a bunch of these smelt that Tori and I caught. We didn't clean these ones, so I'm going to put 1 smelt underneath each piece of corn.
With all my corn planted, I'd need to wait a couple weeks or so until the corn sprouted and was 4 to 6 inches tall. Next, I'd plant the beans in order to give the corn a head start, so the beans would have something larger than it to climb up. Then the squash goes in.
Sometimes they say it's good to put 2 seeds. The beans grow up the corn stalks because beans need something to grow up. And the squash covers the ground with its big leaves and prevents weeds from growing.
Next on the list, Tori and I built another raised bed using 2x12 screws. We just basically made a big rectangle, 4 feet by 8 feet, and screwed it together.
Okay, that's pretty good, yeah?
Yep.
Once our raised bed was laid in, we did the same thing as the last, clearing out a bunch of weeds and then adding logs, sticks, bark, and other organic material to it before beginning to add the soil. Now, the farmer that I bought the topsoil from wasn't available anymore, and we wanted to get this done. So I sprung and bought a bunch of topsoil from the store. And essentially I just dug a hole beside the planter box and threw that soil right into it. I also got a couple wheelbarrows full of other soil on my property that was pretty good in a sort of swampy area and added that in. Then I mixed it all together and then put in a bag of sheep manure to try to bring that nitrogen level back up for what I lost from the host soil here, which isn't very fertile.
There you go. Very strong. I drank some. Cheers.
Cheers. Today is going to feel like we are going back in time a little bit because I'm paddling a canoe, which obviously people have been doing for thousands of years, even right here on this river. And I'm going to visit a blacksmith. I'm taking my Novacraft Supernova, which is an awesome whitewater boat. This is what we got to start out with, a little class 1, and I'm going to jump right into it. We got a hot day today, it's beautiful out, so I'm jumping on my home river to solo my canoe down all the whitewater rapids to visit the local blacksmith. Brought my fishing rod along. Hopefully you can catch some pike or pickerel. No spray deck. You're bound to take in a little more water, more bailing. This section of the Magnetawan River was typically bypassed completely. Just upriver for me, there's a waterfall, a long stretch of low, shallow rapids, and then an intense bouldery rapid, plus these two swifts, and another rapid down there, and then finally a waterfall. Back in the day, people were often traveling at much lower water levels when the rapids would have been too bony to paddle. They would have been traveling in bark canoes and eventually canvas canoes that couldn't take the beatings. They've been traveling, you know, without the kind of waterproof bags we have today with expensive trade goods or their entire family. So traditionally this entire stretch of river was bypassed. There's a big bay. It's almost like a lake in of itself, but it's a large bay that branches off the Magnetawan. And if you paddle to the end of that bay, you can actually cheat your way past the waterfall and the first few rapids and then jump on a long portage trail that bypasses all these rapids. So you're portaging around sections of river that are like this, that are easy, but at the end of the day, you save time and it's a lot safer. And that's a really interesting portage trail, you know, probably over 1,000 years old. Well, it's going to be pretty tricky at the top for sure. I can't fit through that tight little slot with those two kind of flat rocks. The left is just too shallow. It's just pouring over a rock sheet. So I'm going to have to kind of find a line right there that kind of goes just left of those rocks and just right of these ones. Then I'm going to have to get left hard, and then I'm going to have to get right hard. Well, that last part was less than ideal. There's a rock there. I'm like, left, right, left, right. I should have just chosen a way and going for it, but honestly, going right into that hole was the safest way to totally avoid the big boulder. So it's kind of, I think, what I instinctually did. That was fun though. Got a little bit hairier at the end, just as expected. Gotta come in real slow here. If I miss the eddy, I get swept over the waterfall. Actually, not much of an eddy here at all. Well, all that's biting here is bass, and bass are out of season, so I'm gonna move on. All right, we got a little swift here, and got a little flat water paddling after the swift, and then a doozy of a rapid. Hopefully it's not too rocky to run, but we will see. So definitely some anxiety building in my chest about that one. Whenever you're around a rapid or a falls or something that's an obstruction in the river to a canoe, would have also been a major obstruction to logs being floated down river. So oftentimes on rivers where they did log drives, which is the vast majority of them, in the Great Lakes forests and beyond, you can find old relics. Sometimes you'll just see grass. I don't know why people used to bring in grass. Maybe they brought in some livestock. Sometimes the remains of old cabins, all these things. But yeah, if you have a keen eye, you can see kind of these things from the days of old. Woo! She looks pretty intense. Oh my goodness. It looks potentially unrunnable. Looks like a huge hole at the bottom. So I think I'm just gonna freaking bomb the middle. I might swamp and dump, but we'll see what happens. But I think I'm gonna try to take that hole on the left. Hopefully that curling side wave doesn't flip me to the right. I'm gonna hit this big one here on the left. Hopefully get left of that main hole there. Try not to tip right and just basically try not to swamp. Good chance I swamp though, so fingers crossed. Definitely could use a spray deck for this one. Doing up my Northwater thigh straps there. All right, here goes nothing. Took in some water on the last two. I could have avoided them actually. I hit them, but I ended up overcompensating with that cross draw brace. Super fun run. Not totally used to this canoe yet. Sometimes it turns so well that it catches you by surprise. Lake to paddle here. Nice stretch of river though. Okay, we got something on. Oh, it's a huge bass. Basically going to inch down the side here and try not to get swept over the chute. No problem.
Now I got a little bit of challenging bit of whitewater to manage. I got to get down river and then get across against a strong current and hit a tongue, because if I hit that part too far left, I'm going to bomb into a hole and dump. Yeah! Nailed it. An osprey. So yeah, I'm gonna run it. Woo! I might just hit that hole for fun to see what happens, although at this point I'm a little late for the blacksmith, so dump wouldn't exactly speed things up. We'll see. And there he is. That's Chris, the blacksmith, Chris Johnson, waiting up for me. I'm a tad late. Hopefully he's not too annoyed. You see where Chris lives? Not another soul in sight, no development. He just lives off grid, downriver from my house. Hi Chris, how's it going?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Good, thank you very much for having me back here. And into your shop, canoeing, blacksmithing. We got it all here on the mag. It kind of feels like, you know, something people used to do in the olden days. This is where Chris works his magic. And he prepares all the things you can find on his website, cjblacksmith.ca. Also check Chris out on Instagram, adventure_forge. He posts pictures of some of the things he makes. And today, we're going to be making, what are we going to be making, Chris?
We're going to finish the squirrel cooker, which is just a utensil for cooking over the fire, which we can't do right now because we're in a fire ban.
We're in a fire ban, yeah. The thing that I am going to be picking up from Chris today is an outdoor fire poker. For whatever reason, whenever I have a fire poker set aside, it always ends up in a bonfire. So it's going to be really nice to have a metal one that I can sit there. It looks really cool and I can use for years to come. Harder? Yeah. Longer. Good. It's good.
Ooh. Again? Again? Okay, let's stop playing with that.
This is a cooking utensil called a squirrel cooker. We made this, we parted the end here and created this cool little curve which is functional. Next thing we're going to do is make a stake that essentially sits into the ground and will allow us to either cook food that we stab onto this fork here, such as a squirrel, or hang a pot on the other side. Isn't that pretty cool? This is cheating.
Tori, you showed up at the right moment. A fire poker, but it's also custom made to also be able to rake coals. So I figure you could use it at your workshops and stuff like that. Look what it says on it.
Oh, cool! My own fire poker and raker.
It's called a belated birthday present. We have just finished what is a fire poker, and as you saw, it says Tori on it. This is something that we're going to use at my house on our outdoor fire. We like to have outdoor cookouts where we cook over the fire. We do corn boil ups, fish fries, burgers, steaks, you name it, with friends, and we like to cook over the fire. The really cool thing about this, it's not just a fire poker, it's specially made as a coal raker. Look at that, so you can rake the coals back. And it was really a treat to watch Chris make this down to the last detail. I mean, look at that. I mean, talk about functional art, you know. So pretty cool, and awesome end to the day. So in the end, it did feel like I got to go back in time, taking the, you know, millennia old craft of the canoe down this river, which has been traveled on for many years, to visit a blacksmith. Felt kind of like something that people might have done around this area 100 years ago or more. Pretty cool, but unfortunately and fortunately, we're not actually living in those times, and Tori was able to drive here in the truck and pick me up so I don't have to paddle back upriver. Pretty cool. Well, unfortunately, there's a fire ban on right now, so I can't use this right away, but I'm looking really forward to putting this to use, and yeah, I'm sure it'll be in the family for many years to come. Thank you, Chris.
Is this your first year or second time? Okay, yeah.
Hey, bud. 1.